For most of human history, the ocean wasn't a highway. It was a terrifying barrier, this great big unknown. But over thousands of years, just through sheer ingenuity, we managed to turn that barrier into a global superhighway. Today, we are diving into that incredible multi-millennial journey of how we learned to master the oceans, one technological leap at a time. Let's get into how this amazing transformation actually happened. So, it really all boils down to this one single massive question. How did we go from, tentatively pushing little reed boats into rivers to confidently sailing across the largest expanses on our entire planet? Well, the answer is an incredible story of countless problems and some really brilliant solutions. All right, so our journey begins exactly where every single sailor's did, within sight of land. For thousands and thousands of years, the open sea just wasn't an option. It was a place of total mystery and a lot of fear. The first great challenge wasn't about crossing the ocean. It was simply about figuring out how to navigate the coastlines reliably. And you've got to understand, this took an immense amount of time. Look at this timeline. It shows you just how slow and gradual this process was. Way back around 4000 BC, you've got the Egyptians mastering the Nile with their reed boats. But it wasn't for centuries. We're talking around 1500 BC that the Phoenicians came up with these revolutionary ship designs, slowly building the confidence to move a little further from shore. So, you see, the crucial point for these early civilizations was solving a pretty fundamental engineering problem. How do you graduate from a simple raft to building a vessel that's durable enough for the sea and specialized enough for really complex stuff like carrying cargo or, winning a battle? And this slide right here perfectly illustrates how early ship design was a direct answer to the local environment. I love this. The Egyptians, they bundled papyrus reeds to create these flexible boats, a technology that was absolutely perfect for the winding Nile. The Phoenicians, on the other hand, had a different goal. They needed to dominate the Mediterranean, so their answer was the trireme, a wooden plank-hulled beast built for pure speed and military power. Each one was a perfect technological solution for a very specific challenge. But look, staying near the coast could only get us so far. The next great leap forward required leaving the comfort of that shoreline behind and actually venturing out into the deep blue, and that just couldn't happen without a few absolute game-changing breakthroughs. And this was the ultimate barrier. The moment that coastline sinks below the horizon, you are truly, completely lost. How in the world do you know which way is north? How do you find one tiny island in a seemingly endless ocean? Solving this was going to require a completely new way of thinking. So the first revolutionary solution didn't come from a machine at all, but from incredibly deep knowledge. Polynesian navigators developed this art of wayfinding, a really sophisticated system of just reading the natural world. They could feel the direction of ocean swells as they bounced off distant islands. They could follow the flight paths of birds back to land. This was a profound technology of the mind, a deep literacy in the language of the ocean itself that unlocked the entire Pacific. Just amazing. The second revolution came from 12th century China. The magnetic compass was an absolute game changer. Think about it. For the very first time in human history, direction was a constant. It didn't matter if the sky was completely cloudy or if the stars were hidden. You always knew which way was north. This one simple device removed a huge amount of the uncertainty and the fear from traveling on the open ocean. And then, up in the harsh North Atlantic, the Vikings brought this incredible two-part revolution. First, you have the longship, an amazing vessel strong enough for ocean storms, but with a draft shallow enough that it could sail right up rivers. And second, a really clever tool for their notoriously cloudy skies, the sunstone. It's a special kind of crystal that could actually reveal the sun's position even through a thick layer of clouds. And this slide illustrates a really crucial point. No single culture solved ocean navigation all on its own. It was a global effort. You had the Polynesians providing this deep, nature-based knowledge, Asia giving us the reliable compass, the Vikings with their advanced hull designs, and Mediterranean sailors refining celestial navigation with tools like the astrolabe. A global toolkit of knowledge was finally starting to come together. Okay, so in this final act, we see all these separate streams of innovation begin to merge. And it's this fusion of technologies that would finally give humanity the ability to sail pretty much anywhere on Earth, creating a truly interconnected world for the first time. So the problem really shifted, didn't it? It was no longer, can this even be done? But instead, how can we do this well? How do you go from these risky, one-off voyages to creating reliable, safe, and efficient networks for trade and exploration that span entire oceans? By the early 1400s, two very different kinds of ships really represented the state of the art. In the east, you had Zhang He's massive treasure ships. These things were over 120 meters long, protected by internal watertight bulkheads that prevented sinking. They were built to project power and collect tribute. But in the west, the Portuguese developed the small, nimble caravel. It was designed not for power but for exploration. Its key advantage was that triangular lateen sail, which allowed it to sail much more effectively against the wind. But here's where it all comes together. The real breakthrough was the fusion of all these global ideas. European navigators took the Chinese compass for reliable direction, they refined their celestial navigation using Arab astronomy, and their best ships, like that caravel, were basically hybrids. They combined the strong hull designs from the North Atlantic with those super versatile triangular sails that were perfected in the Mediterranean. This synthesis, it created a system more powerful than any single invention on its own. So, you get the picture. By the 1400s, all the pieces were finally on the board. After millennia of parallel development all across the globe, the full toolkit, the ship, the navigation methods, the knowledge, it was finally assembled. The stage was officially set for an unprecedented era of global connection. And that, right there, is really the main takeaway. What we call the Age of Discovery, it wasn't a beginning. It was really the finish line of a marathon of innovation, a race that was run by countless cultures over thousands of years, with everyone contributing their own crucial piece to the puzzle. So why does all of this matter? Well, because mastering the sea fundamentally changed the entire trajectory of human civilization. It's what enabled the Columbian Exchange, the rise of global empires, and those intricate trade networks that moved goods, ideas, and people across continents. This wasn't just a small step. It was the dawn of the interconnected, globalized world that we all live in today. I mean, it is just wild to think that with nothing more than wood, canvas, the stars, and accumulated wisdom, these ancient navigators connected the entire planet. It kind of leaves you with a question to ponder, doesn't it? What is the great unknown sea for our time? And what new tools and knowledge are we going to need to cross it?